Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. We are in for some rainy weather here in the Bonsai Zone. The rain has stopped for now, but it's supposed to rain all this week, so it'll put my bonsai soil to the test. If your bonsai trees don't have a good free draining soil, in rainy weather you can get a lot of root problems with roots staying too wet and they could start rotting, especially in succulent bonsais such as this ponytail palm. Water-loving trees like my weeping willow have no problems with this rainy weather and having their soil constantly wet. If you're getting a lot of rainy days in a row, it's best to move succulent trees like this jade under cover so they don't get too much rain. Even though this jade has really good porous bonsai soil around it, I'm going to move it out of the rain and in the greenhouse so it doesn't get any more rain in the next few days, and we can go through that soil cycle of thoroughly soaking it and letting it dry out with the succulents. There's a saying, make hay while the sun shines, and the clouds have gone and the sun's come out, so before it rains again I'm going to try and fit in some bonsai work. Today I'm going to cut back my fusion ficus, which is in the greenhouse. I'm not going to bring the camera in the greenhouse because it's really hot and humid and it'll fog up the lens. So I'll bring the tree outside and begin work. The tree's been growing really well in the greenhouse. Here's a look at the fusion ficus project. Nice healthy growth. So I've been letting it gain vigor, and now it's midsummer, so it's time to cut it back in height. I have a couple of goals for this tree. One is I want to get a nice spreading umbrella shaped canopy, and I also want to get a really nice branch structure supporting that canopy. At the present moment, this tree has none of those features. It doesn't have a nice umbrella shaped canopy, and it doesn't have a nice branch structure. When I grow bonsai, I like to develop the roots first, then the trunk, and then the branch structure. I've got a really good root base now. My trunk is developing really nicely. So now it's time to work on the branch structure. The tree is growing really tall and vigorous for the first half of summer. So now I'm going to cut it back in height, which will stimulate all kinds of new branches to grow down lower. But the question is, how low do I go? Cutting back a ficus hard can be a tricky process. If you cut them back too hard, the branches can just die off. I like to leave some nice green foliage on the branches when I cut them back. I don't like to cut back into just bare wood if I can avoid it. I always like to leave some nice healthy green leaves on the branch. I think I would like to get the height of the tree down to about here eventually. So cutting this top part of the tree in about half and then see what develops down below. At the moment the tree has a lot of vertical growth. All the trunks go straight up into the air, and I'd like to reduce those down and encourage all these side branches to thicken up and create a broom style canopy to the tree. I'm going to begin now with some hard pruning. So here I go. I want to reduce it down to about here, I think, for now, and then we'll see what grows below and maybe reduce it further the next time I do this operation. So I want to keep some healthy foliage on the tree. So I'm going to take it off right here for now. And I'll take this one off right here and here. I can always reduce this further later on today if I still think it's too high. So I'm going to prune high rather than too low at first. That way I can see how much green is remaining on the branches. I'm looking to prune the vertical trunks down to some nice branches that fan out. So I'm doing directional pruning. I'm going to go right down to here now. I'm pruning all the branches that are facing in towards the center of the tree, trying to get them flowing outwards. Keeping the good branches and removing the ones I don't like. The height is getting quite low now, so I'm happy with that. Alright, I'll come out front and see how it's looking. I think the operation has been a success. I've got the height reduced, I did some nice branch selection, and now I'll let it recover and grow for the rest of the summer and see what branches emerge in a nice flowing broom style pattern. The thunderstorms are rolling in behind me. I don't know if you can see them in the sky up there. Yeah, the sun will be short-lived today. It'll be back to pouring rain. My last operation to the ficus tree will be to water it thoroughly and then put it back in the greenhouse to let it grow for the second half of summer. So here I go. This fusion project is working really well. The cutting on top is fusing to the old trunk, and it's starting to grow a lot of new aerial roots. So I think it's going to become one tree in the near future. Okay, I think that'll do it. I was so sad that winter when the top of the tree died off and I was only left with a few branches. So I'm really happy with the progress of fusing that cutting onto the trunk, and I can see the future of this tree will be bright. I think in another few years, as everything fuses together, the canopy starts growing, it's going to be a great tree, or it's going to be the great tree that I always hoped it would be. I've got the tree well watered and fertilized, so I'll put it back in the greenhouse and we'll get to today's update. I've got the ficus back in the greenhouse now. I have a tray that I keep below the pot here. It catches all the excess water that runs out of the pot when I'm watering the tree, and it helps keep the humidity levels high in the greenhouse. So I can grow aerial roots on the trunk. That'll all help fuse it into one tree. Today's update is my Weeping Willow bonsai that I just recently cut back. I let this willow grow for 2 years, and then I cut it back hard, and now there's all kinds of new buds that have exploded all over the remaining trunk. Even on some of the smaller branches that I cut back, I've got all kinds of new buds on some of the older wood. My weeping willow put out a lot of new roots this year. They just kind of grew out the base of the trunk here into the air, and some of them made it into the soil. Yeah, it definitely wants to grow a nice buttressed root base on it. I think my weeping willow is going to look quite good in the next couple of weeks when all these buds turn into new branches. That's all for today. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.